And we are back with another lovely edition here of the Doing All Right podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, just bringing in some of my friends, some of my best good friends, you know what I mean? Shedding a little bit of light. We ain't doing nothing else. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Foots the King edition of the daggum Doing All Right podcast. We're going to talk a little bit of draft, a little bit of Cowboys. Foots the King, what's happening, man?
Hey, bro. Honored. You know what I mean? The work that you and Brian are doing, the platform that you set up. Hey, you see it? I got the stack right here.
Talk to him nice,
man.
Man.
I got the. You see what's going on?
Talk to him nice, bro. Look at you.
You see what's going on, and you know our what we do. Even got a little cocoa butter right here, but you know what we do in all seriousness stuff. Voch is this is our time of year. Our time of year is draft. Our time of year is investigating. Tape overall. I learned that from you. I learned that from Brian. I learned that from, some of the greats. You want to go through the full process. And, I went down to Senior Bowl. Obviously, the combine happened. But then you got to go back to the tape. And what does the tape tell you? And then you imagine it with, your team.
Yeah. Yo, Foots, I'm glad you said that. You couldn't set me up no better. You couldn't set me up no better than what you did. And look, mind you, this ain't an interview, by the way. We just talking. We just kicking it, bro.
Absolutely.
I ain't gonna lie, Foots. I ain't mad per se. I'm not mad. You look great, by the way, on my TV here, on my West TV. You look great, sir.
Got a little cocoa butter on, skin glistening.
Shining, glistening. Foots, I'm not mad, okay? But I tweeted today. I got on the social medias today. I was taking a walk, bro, and my hotline bling. And I see people talking to C.J. Allen. They're talking about C.J. Allen and his, pro day or whatever that happened yesterday. And Foots, I think people are being a bit overly performative about C.J. Allen and his pro day workout. Now, I don't want to disrespect anybody. Y'all can evaluate how y'all want to evaluate. You could do what you like, okay? But Voch don't really take that much account into the pro day because I watched the film. Foots. See, film is king. I just read my tweet. Somebody was talking about how we overrating pro days or whatever. Here's my tweet, Foots. Film is king. Film should tell you how the workout will go. I actually take away points if the workout was way better than your film, because why doesn't your athleticism translate onto the film? Pimp C says, if you was a cartoon character on your last album, be a cartoon character now. Don't be showing up with these mysterious 40 times that I didn't see all year. Foots the King, what you think about my statement? Don't be laughing. What you think about my statement?
The Pimp C line was fire.
Pimp C's the greatest. What do you think about my statement, Foots? What do you think about the Pro Bowl stuff? Cartoon characters and all that. I said Pro Bowl, Pro Day. Mm-hmm. And how do you think, how do you feel about how they talking about C.J. Allen right now?
Voch, we've been doing this a long time, man.
Yeah.
My goal this offseason is to not make mistakes and don't count it twice. Don't count it twice. If I saw another tweet that you fired off and I completely agree with it.
What'd I say?
I didn't see on tape C.J. Allen ever being a beautiful runner or, it looking amazing. All I see is a gritty football player, and you need those in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I see a physical player who I didn't expect him to look body beautiful, go out there, run, do the backflips, I'm old enough to remember Anthony Richardson going to the combine and getting overdrafted because of how he worked out. Mm-hmm. I'm old enough to remember Isaiah Simmons breaking every record. I'm old enough to remember Byron Jones jumping. The lines on the whatever the jumps. Mm. He jumped over the lines.
Yeah. He jumped past the drill. he jumped out of the drill.
Didn't want to hit nobody, but he jumped over. So you said it. You said it spot on, bro. You got to take it with a grain of salt. And when I see the Florida tape, if you this isn't to you, but to our audience, if you watch the Florida tape. And you mean to tell me you don't see a guy who's closing gaps? You don't see a guy who's running sideline to sideline? It's not always perfect. I think that he'll get posted up at times in the league versus bigger tight ends. But it's his mind. He's a 20-year-old. He's 20 years old, Voch, running that Georgia defense, a defense that's going to be eerily similar to what the Cowboys run. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how you can't like that type of player. You can't like a rugged type player. Voch, you were one of the people who completely sold me on Tyler Booker after I was receiver. But Foots, if I tell you this guy's going to be a pro, you're not going to have to worry about him. He's going to do all the football things right. I had to throw my hands up.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm in on CJ Allen, and the workout, the knee swell and all that type of stuff. That doesn't matter to me. I need my linebackers of all players on the football field need to be guys that I don't care. The workout, that stuff don't bother me. Can you close gaps, and are you physical enough?
I think people overthink on purpose. I think they're looking to overthink something, and I think when you overthink, I think that's when you make mistakes. I think that's when you pass on like good players. Like you brought up Tyler Booker, perfect example. I'm glad you said I was right, by the way. But perfect example for like just imagine how many people didn't draft Tyler Booker because the athletic score came out or the RAS stuff, right? And they said, well, I don't want an offensive lineman that can't move. And he gets to the Cowboys and he can down block, he can outside zone, he can short pull, he can block linebackers, screens. We didn't see an issue with Tyler Booker or anything like that. If he had an issue, it was like a mental thing, but that's catching up to the game and like what it is. Like, he's a rookie, but as far as his athleticism, I didn't see a problem out of Booker, and I didn't see a problem on film. That's my biggest takeaway in this whole thing. I said in my tweet, I actually take away points if you're not athletic on the field, but you're super athletic at your workout. So Jacob Rodriguez, right? Some people say, oh, Voch, I thought he was slow. He ran well at the combine. I guess that's good enough for me. I'm asking, why the hell he don't run like that on his tape? That's the questions I have. I'm not going to throw Sonny Styles up my board because I knew Sonny Styles was a fantastic athlete. If you go and find Sonny Styles' pass deflections, right? Yeah. Just watching him break. There's this play of him in the red zone. He's on the right sideline. Right before you get into the end zone, the quarterback tried to throw the ball over into a receiver going to the back pylon, and Sonny Styles just jumped up and just batted the ball down. That's when I knew Sonny Styles had a nice vertical. I didn't need Sonny Styles to go jump on the vertical for me to be excited about Sonny Styles. I saw him running sideline to sideline on tape. His 40 time didn't surprise me. When I talked to you about CJ Allen and kind of how we rank these guys, I was like, man, Foots, I like him. I don't know how he is as an athlete. He's a baller. He's a football player, and he's thumping the hell out these offensive linemen. So if you put him in a drill, Foots, let me just be fair. Can you put me on camera too so I can look at Foots? Put me on camera. Foots, let's just be fair, Foots. Why they got CJ Allen running cornerback drills anyway? Why they got him dropping back, flipping his hips twice anyway? How many times you gonna ask CJ Allen to do that in the game, Foots?
You asked CJ Allen to come up that C gap, come up that B gap, and go destroy your running back. Bosh, this is why I know as much as we've disagreed on prospects, we still end up in the same spot.
Every time.
I saw you tweet out this a while ago. I'm like, yeah, see, Bosh, we on the same time. I saw CJ Allen on film. I think it was the Auburn tape. Bro, guards are trying to get to him. He pressing them.
He's thumping them.
These are guys 100 pounds bigger than him. Yeah. He's getting home. He's using hand stacking, shedding, like he's meeting them in the hole. He's using his shoulder and that force technique. That's what we need. When you watch the Kenneth Murray, who I'm pretty sure people watching this live can remember the type of athlete that Kenneth Murray was at Oklahoma. I mean, you talk about could run, look great, probably do the cornerback drills like you said, but how good is he at football?
Right.
How good is he at knowing where he's supposed to be and doing it all the time? Luke Kuechly, I don't think he was a 4-4 athlete.
He wasn't.
I mean, I'm not comparing CJ Allen and Luke Kuechly, but I'm saying some guys, the tape, the workout's not going to show it, right? It really is. They just have a sixth sense for the game of football. They just know where the play is going. They watch the tape. They can see certain keys. Oh, this guard, he's giving me a tell. It's going to be power right here. Let me get on my horse and let me go play it a certain way. Yeah. And we got to also understand when it comes to Christian Parker and that gap and a half stuff, they want to create vertical seams so that these linebackers can run through them. I don't want a linebacker guessing, Voch. I want guys that are physical that are going to close gaps. That's just me. I want guys that are physical, that are going to close gaps. High floor. I'm okay with that, especially at 20 because I can't get this pick wrong. I can't.
Foots, can you imagine some offensive lineman trying to double Quinnen, and Quinnen dealing with both of them, and then CJ Allen come down, and one got to leave Quinnen to go block CJ, and CJ come down and just thump the hell out of him too. Can you imagine that? You know what I'm saying?
I would love
it. And look, Shamar James is currently your starting Mike linebacker. It won't be that way by the time we get to August, but just currently now, Shamar James is probably going to be a guy starting right there if they put a depth chart out today. There were many times I saw Shamar James kind of ducking under guys, leaning under guys, and I think this come from the idea. I'm going to ask you about Christian Parker Foots. This comes from the idea that we're currently removed from a Dan Quinn, Mike Zimmer building period. You know what I'm saying? So maybe there's a sentiment around our scouting department that like smaller linebackers are like, or just smaller players in general, because we'll even bring in some small three techs, like Viliami Fehoko was a smaller three tech, right? The Cowboys in general have told their scouting department guys or their scouts that they kind of wanted these smaller players because our linebackers have normally been smaller. And when I say small, I ain't even meaning like height and weight. Like you play small. Like Shamar James plays small. You feel me?
Yes.
I know Shamar comes from the Flus administration, but that's one big mess in his own. But what I will say is it seems like Christian Parker's coming in here and said, hey, bro, we can't have 280-pound tackles. We can't have this player doing this. We can't have these guys doing that. And I think the Cowboys are looking for a linebacker with some decent measurables. And I think they want that dude to be a little bigger so that the front seven in general can be a little more stoutfoot.
Yeah, and I think too, Voch, where we are, right, with this defensive build, I think the Cowboys are just looking at it and say, let's just get good at something. I think that's going to be stopping the run, right? It's not all about stopping the run. You need both. Make no mistake about it. You need to get to the quarterback. Yeah. But like you just said, they're getting literally bigger on the line. They want bigger bodies. They want bigger bodies across the line of scrimmage. And, you want your linebacker room to look a certain way. We want to keep Marvin Overshown clean so he can run to the quarterback, right? So he can run to the running back, right? So he can run to the flats. But that dirty work, Mike Backer, hey, man, you got to be able to roll your sleeves up and go bang, And I think that's going to be the premium. You brought up Jacob Rodriguez. I like Jacob Rodriguez. I'm just with you. I can't put him in the first round just because of the process. Sure. Right? I watch college football. Love Jacob Rodriguez. Love the peanut punch. Love all of it. But I'm with you. I never saw. I was watching the Oregon game when Texas Tech played Oregon, and Jacob Rodriguez didn't jump off my screen. Right? Like, David Bailey jumped off my screen.
You can't miss CJ Allen neither. Like some of these guys,
you see what I'm saying? Look, the Florida tape, you can't miss him.
Boy, look, Jacob Rodriguez fits right in with everybody else, boy. I had to go find him. If I cut on CJ Allen tape and you didn't know where he was, your eyes will immediately go to the dude that's whooping guards and thumping down on people in the hole. You see what I'm saying? Anthony Hill could be like that. David Bailey's like that. You can't miss Bain and Mesidor. They fly off the film. You know what I mean? Dog, that's fair you said that. Jacob Rodriguez does just kind of blend in, don't he?
Well, let me ask you this, Voch.
Yes, sir.
When we watch CJ Allen blitz, does anybody think slow? I don't.
No. I only think CJ Allen is, I would say, athletically compromised in certain spots. Like if you're a super bursty dude, he may not beat you to the sideline. If somebody else get the angle like they supposed to and funnel the running back into the alley, CJ will be there. You know what I'm saying? Or like if it's an open field, CJ not gonna do that. Or like how like we watch Cowboys versus like Niners and like Fred Warner's carrying CeeDee Lamb up the seam or something. CJ not gonna do that neither. But for most linebacker work, CJ will be fine. Christian Parker just don't need to tell CJ Allen to carry CeeDee Lamb all the way up the seam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't put him in that predicament. Absolutely not.
First, let me ask you a question, man. I was looking at my board here, sir. Let me get this before my tablet starts to die on me. I was looking at my draft board here, Foots. Just hear me out. You ain't gotta have a board. You know what I mean? But just hear me out.
I'm at 130 pplayers trying to get to putting my top 100 out next week, sir. So I'm right there with you.
You right on time, bro. You right on time. I got 12 first-round grade, Foots. 12 first-round grades.
So you right at about the 12 to 15 threshold. I get it.
I got 41 second-round grades. That's a lot.
Yes.
And I also have 32 third-round grades. Foots, let me ask you this. With the amount of players that's kind of bunched up in that same group, Do you feel decent about pick number 92? And what kind of options come with that? I was attaching pick number 92 to the Osa trade. I ain't gonna lie. But like you always say, we can't just lean on that too much. We got to move on. We got to move on and make it make sense. So, all right, y'all, Osa gone. We got to move on. We got pick number 92. Now I'm hyper-focused on pick number 92. I'm thinking about the players that could be available for you. You ain't got to start naming players. If I know you probably will. But how does 92 change the landscape of this thing? How does 92 affect what you do with 12 and 20? Philosophically, Fliss, break down 92 overall for me. Your Cowboys third round pick that you got from San Fran in the Osa trade.
Well, pick 92 needs to come in and be a contributor. Pick 12 and 20, they need to be starters, right? We got to go. Okay. There is no, these guys need to come in, they need to play, and they need to play early, right, Voch? But with pick 92, I think that it could be a player, maybe it's a player that, you bring in. Not saying you ease him in, but he has a role early and then he grows into a starter. And I do have names, Voch, but I think that the same way that Osa was in that third round and he showed promise as a rookie, you're looking for the same thing at pick 92, in my opinion. And like you said, you have 30 plus. The sweet spot of this draft, because everybody right now, especially nationally, well, this isn't a great draft. I couldn't disagree more.
Sure.
I think the sweet spot of this draft is from the second round to the late fourth, fifth round. That is the sweet spot. If you can hit gold in a particular player that you need for your scheme, for what you want to do, and find that guy and pinpoint that guy, maybe if he was a smaller school guy, maybe if he was a guy who, the coaching staff was leaving and whatever, if you could find that guy and bring him into your team, you may be cooking with grease, because everybody's saying this. Why? Because you don't have the headliners at quarterback at the top. But I think the receiver class is deep. I think the cornerback class is deep. I think the safety class, man, you had a Zachy Wheatley conversation, and it's like, Fuzz, where are you at on this guy? I'm like, Voch, I'm right there with you. Like, there are some names. So to me, pick 92 is right there in the mix, Voch, of a guy who comes in and is a contributor day one, not starter maybe, but contributor day one that grows into that starter.
Also, too, in Cowboy land, just to kind of lean into that angle for it, like if you're a team that needs offensive line or something, round 2, 3, or 4 this year may not be great for you, but all the stuff that you need is rich in that area. It is, in round 2, 3, and 4, it's cornerback rich, it's safety rich, linebacker edge, whether you're looking for big edges or pass rushing edge, it's rich in 92, and I we love to have Osa, but that's just me being, that's just me being in my feelings about it. But if I had to move on, and say, all right, Voch, we need a pick. Now what? Man, Foots, if I could turn that pick into Bud Clark, safety from TCU, Devin Moore, the cornerback from Florida or something, Stooks, the cornerback safety from Arizona State, Arizona from Arizona.
U of A.
If I could turn that into Haulcy and now I got a good box safety or something like that, Foots, man, that's all right. I'll take that, man. You can get your fourth pass rusher, and that's a guy that'll step in and play some rushing time for you. Probably won't start, but rotate in and get some pass rushes for you. Man, I can see some work happening in the third round at pick number 92.
Well, think about this, Voch, and I'm proud of you because we got our backdoor conversation.
You like safety, so we could talk. Yeah, I got you, bro.
And Voch, I know where you were at on Osa because, and so I'm proud of you more or less. Like, man, you know what? We got to make it make sense because there's been times I've held on
like
to
that. Don't talk to me like that. You tripping?
Like we had an AA meeting.
Hey, Voch, it's okay, dog. Voch.
you said trading Stoops.
Fuzz, you said, hey, Voch, it's okay, bro. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna say this. You said trading Stooks, Voch. I'm gonna raise you one, and I'm gonna talk about a corner nickel Jordan Lewis type. And I want to give my boy Zach over there at Double Move. You know Zach very well, Voch. He turned me on to Chandler Rivers early in the process.
From Duke, he nice.
Yes, man. And we could have used Jordan Lewis this year, right? Yeah. And all I do is watch Chandler Rivers, and I just see a guy who the funny thing about him, Voch, is this cornerback class, DB nickel class, has small guys that are good on the edge, right? Yeah. Like I think that we look at Ponds and we look at Rivers, and the first thing we say is, man, just throw him in the nickel. Brother, you talk about Bud Clark. I'm going to take you back to a play. Bud Clark had an interception at the Senior Bowl where, and we get detailed with our film. So I'm watching it back and back and back. So he was a split safety, and Bud Clark is a great name. Would love him here. On the roof, you know what we do, Voch. So he's on the roof. He comes over, he makes the interception. But who was in coverage on that rep was Chandler Rivers. He's using the sideline. He's not getting bullied. So although he's small, he ran well at the combine. He jumped well. So and it shows up on tape, right? We just talked about it. Some of these guys are fast at the combine, but it doesn't show up on tape. I think that he is a really good tackler. He triggers fast. And in these trap coverages that Christian Parker wants to run, where now if he is inside or outside, he could play, 2-to-1 very well. He does that very well. The NC State tape, he had 2 reps where I'm like, okay, I get it. Where it's a seam and then something over the middle of the field is coming and he traps it and he breaks on it. One, he had a pass breakup, and another one, he had a big tackle. So he plays those possessions and those reps very well with Rivers. Another guy that you said is Trayden Stukes. A lot of people like his teammate. What's his teammate? The bigger safety. But I like Stukes a little bit better because he's a bit more physical. Yeah. Genesis Smith. So Genesis Smith, he looks the part. 6'2", all that.
He won't tackle nobody though.
Say it again, Voch.
Genesis don't want to tackle nobody though.
Man, Voch, did you see that?
Genesis don't want to tackle. And look, Genesis is big as hell. He ain't small. Genesis don't want to hit nobody.
He's coming downhill. Man, I love talking football. So he's coming downhill and he's grabbing. Yeah. And I'm like, are all the coaches letting him get back? I can't have that because Christian Parker, hey, if you at the nickel, you may have to rotate down and be an end. You may have to rotate down and be a force player. And, with Stukes, though, man, 6'2", 195, super, super physical, moves very well. He runs the alley really good, and he could play on the edge. He is an older player, Voch. That's the only thing that I will say. But on screens, on quick game, he doesn't run himself blocked. I hate when corners and linebackers run themselves blocked. He doesn't do that, right? And 21 pass breakups. He's just a football player, man. So those are 2 names. I could go deep into the woods, but those are 2 names needs for us. I also like the TCU linebacker Caleb Elarms, or the tape checks out with how he worked out. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be a riser. Another physical player, Bryce Betcher. I don't know if that's kind of rich, but let's say we don't go back or early, right? Because we need to draft the best player available at 12 and 20. I'm not married to any pick. Betcher could be a name that could day one come in and kind of close gaps. So those are a few names for me at 92, Voch.
Because I ain't gonna lie, man. If Genesis Smith started coming up thumping people on film, he'd be a 2nd-round pick, dog. He'd be a 1st-round pick. He'd be a 1st-round pick because he got a lot of range. Yes. He reads really well, takes away crosses. He's super smart. But he be out there bullfighting, boy. He be out there old man. Look, somebody running him. He go, oh, hey. He get his ass. He get his ass out the way for us, and that's a big problem with me in terms of defending players. But I like him though. But that's why I got him in the 4th because he be.
Voch, let me ask you this,
please.
You brought up AJ Haulcy.
What'd I say?
Man, I don't want this to sound crazy because I like his tape. Yeah. But isn't he just built like a strong safety? But he does some free safety things. He always gets his hands on the ball. But it's just. He's built like a running back there. It's I don't know.
Haulcy is probably bigger than Shamar James for real. I would have to research that and figure it out. But Haulcy ain't no little boy. You're not wrong. LSU play him on the roof, and he get picks on the roof. But I think he'll be better as a strong. He get picks there too. But if you play him as strong, you'll have to play him at nickel sometimes. You know what I mean? So if you could. As a coach, right, as a DC play caller, if you could keep Haulcy out of harm's way where he's having to walk up and man cover somebody, then I think Haulcy will be fine. But Haulcy get picks wherever he at because he can bait the quarterback. He makes plays. He gets his hands on the football. So I'm a big fan of Haulcy. And look, Haulcy, for his size, I want him to thump a little bit more. But Haulcy's not a bullfighter in the run game. He will go up and tackle or whatever. But he's really good at getting his hands on the ball. So and look, I don't know what round, he's gonna go because he's bigger and he doesn't run like measurably. He doesn't look he doesn't look like a free safety. He's big. He look like a linebacker, and he doesn't run like a free safety neither. You know what I'm saying? So where do you put him? I would put him where he make plays at. It's like somebody going to LSU Pro Day and they mad because he don't run fast. He never ran fast. We know who Haulcy is. But as a football player, he makes plays. And if the league is going to suck just because he's bigger and don't run as fast and they want to make him fall to the fourth, I'll take Haulcy at 112. I'd be happy to take him on everything.
Yeah. Oh, he's a football player. Like I have him in around that third round grade. Second, I got a 2-3 on him. Yeah. Scheme is going to matter for him, Voch.
Yeah. But let me ask you this about safety and these hybrid guys, because there's a lot of them. What seems to be your favorite combination of safety this year? The guys that do the free and some box stuff, the guys that do box and nickel stuff, the guys like Kyle Lewis from Pittsburgh that does linebacker and then he do some box stuff. Like, what's your favorite combination of safety this year? And like, who are some of your guys that really jump out in that way?
I'm gonna say, that's when we started, Voch, and safety was my position that I'd love to watch. I'm gonna say nickel box, and the reason why is because you just see in today's game those guys who can do some of that Cooper DeJean stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Where they can cover slots, but they can also come up and fit in the run game, and you just keep a free on the roof at times, and you just let that guy be him. And then your nickel box is like, if he's in the game, the offensive coordinators can't quite pick on him because he has the ability to cover as well. I hope that makes sense, Voch, but like those are my guys. And I think there are two guys in this draft that could do that. And I want to be very clear. I'm as big of a Dylan Thieneman fan as anybody, right? Anybody who's following me knows how much I love Dylan Thieneman. But Caleb Downs is that guy, right? And there's not going to be a pro day that happens or doesn't that's going to change my mind on him because of what he's put on film. And he does exactly that. He can cover. You didn't see a lot of reps of him just like in a single high cover each third. Sure. Like you didn't see that. Sure. But I just don't care because I'm looking at him and I know he can do it. Mm-hmm. But you see a guy who runs the alley. Voch, there's times where Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese didn't fit right, who was right there to clean it up to us. You know what I mean? And so, and with Dylan Thieneman, I tell this story often, they're getting smoked by Indiana, and him and Bryce Betcher are making every tackle. To me, that's football character, Voch. Yeah. Right? They're getting their brain, they're getting destroyed, and they're making every tackle. They're running the alley, they're playing hard. And Thieneman, back to his Purdue tape, he has reps where he's on the roof by himself, making plays from 15 yards out on like quick game on screens. He's making plays, he's blowing up the blocks, and he's making the tackles. So those are the two from me that just have that ability to do it both. A guy like Jalen Kilgore, I like him, but he doesn't tackle quite as well or diagnose plays as well. And then like Zachy Wheatley, he's interesting for me because Zachy played a lot high, right, Voch?
Yeah, sure did.
And last year, if you go look at that Boise State game, bro, the plays he made in that game in the range, so he's another name as well. I mean, the safety class this year is really impressive, Voch. It is. And so, but my two headliners are probably a lot like everybody will be Thieneman and Caleb Downs. Now, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, if I could, Voch.
Please, hell yeah.
Where do you see him in his true role in the league? Because I think people look at him as a guy who could cover, but some of the movement things, I would only keep him in a split safety look, and I don't really want him carrying the offensive players consistently downfield because there was a bit of a struggle, especially like in man coverage. Mm-hmm. In man coverage, I didn't like it. Yeah. So that would be the one where I like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren's size. I like his mentality. I like how physical he is. But I do know in coverage, it could be a bit of a struggle at times.
Yeah. Foots, I'm not going to lie, bro. I think a lot of other people like McNeil-Warren more than I do. Okay. And I do like him. I got a second-round grade on him. I got Wheatley higher than him, though. But
That's fair.
I think people are romanticized at the idea of they see the player playing everywhere on film. But what I do when I'm watching film is I'll erase where I think you shouldn't be playing. For example, Jay Goldie, Cincinnati, right? He has a ton of plays at nickel. I don't see him playing nickel on the next level, so I'm ignoring him every time he lines up at nickel. Emmanuel McNeil Warren's probably not going to be on the roof a whole bunch, and he's not going to be man covering receivers a whole bunch. Level of competition matters to me as well. I see him being a box safety foot. I think Emmanuel McNeil Warren's best work is going to be strong safety, coming up, helping in the run, floating around, robber type stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I don't see him being a big rangy guy. He's a football player. I do like his football playerness, but if I put him versus players that I think are a little better than him, I think Wheatley has range that makes him better than him. I think Thieneman got range that makes him better than him. And Caleb Downs, we know who Caleb Downs is. So I like McNeil Warren. I just don't like him like at 20. I think there'll be other players on the board that I like more than him.
That's fair. Yeah. And that's kind of where I look at it too. There was a point in time where it's like, McNeil Warren is a possibility at 20. I'm like, I don't know if I see that. Mm-mm. But I mean, I've done a few mocks where he's kind of been there. I've taken him, but I'm just like, I don't know if I see that.
Yeah, he would be a player that I think is a good player, but I just want the Cowboys to watch how they use draft compensation on most of these people. That's all.
Yeah. I completely agree, Voch.
But man, Brother Brad, this was fantastic.
Thank you,
brother.
Good
to go. One day we're gonna have you sitting right there, right over there in that little part of the table right there. One day it's gonna happen. But as of now, I appreciate you for tapping in with me. Foots the King on all platforms, correct? Foots the King on Twitter, Foots the King on YouTube, Foots times Coles for the music, everything. Let me know what I got wrong.
Honestly, bro, I got to give you flowers in real time. I was Cowboys Nation TV at one point. I said, bro, change your YouTube channel to Foots the King. Change your channel to Foots the King. So that's because of you, Voch. We're going to brand this thing the right way, man. Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. We've been growing,
so
too,
proud
boy.
of you,
We've been growing since we put that Foots the King. Well, look at you. We've been growing. We've been moving.
Man, I look at the stage. I look at you and the GOAT, Brian Broaddus, and my prayers out to Broaddus and his family. Love how you guys have, again, just become, I'm going to say, the staple in the community when it comes to draft content and just content in general, bro. And this is how it's supposed to be. So I appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, brother. In case anybody got just any kind of questions, any concerns, hey, Voch, first of all, where can we find Foots the King? Everywhere. Go find him. But hey, Voch, in terms of Crown Global Media stuff, where can we find the second channel? Where can we find the merch? Where can we find the draft notebooks? It's all on crownglobalmedia.com. Foots holding up a hat right now. It's all on, appreciate you, sir. crownglobalmedia.com. That's where you find everything, okay? He's Foots the King on socials. I'm Voch Lombardi, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow. Love y'all to pieces. Crown.